Bills fans, what is up? We are officially into Friday, awaiting the second and third round of the 2019 NFL Draft. The first round has come and gone after much speculation, much waiting, much over analyzing by myself included. I mean, not to the point that nor do I have the platform that the national people do, and any scope. And even leading into tonight, there's the rampant rumors of the Bills trading up for one Quinnen Williams. And wouldn't that have been a dick punch if they would have done that, and they could have stayed where they were, which were they obviously did, and took who they took. But it didn't happen. Bills stay pat at 9 and take a guy that has been long connected to them, once thought to be gone, as if recent few weeks, well, mostly mid last week, started to hear rumblings that he's a top 6 guy, he's a top 3 guy, Jets rumors, the all along the board, really. He, could have been that surprise guy at number 4, which he wasn't. That was a big one by Oakland. Um, he ends up falling right into the Bills' lap. Ed Oliver, um, such such a talent. I remember him wrecking a game against Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield, the quarterback, those offensive linemen that they have and had. Orlando Brown got drafted second round last year. They have a few that are going to get drafted in the mid rounds this year. They think they won for best offensive line unit. First first game I ever saw him play, I remember it was on ESPN, and they were talking about him. 5-star recruit out of I believe he was Louisiana, and I know his parents are separated, and he had a you know, crazy game. Like, I've never seen a kid that athletic. He played. Yep, first game was they played Oklahoma. They won. He had 2 sacks, 2 tackles for losses. I remember he was just bonkers all over the place, and that's the thing that he does that impresses me the most is his ability to knife through and really impact a run game and enforce a running back to have to make a quick decision and run laterally instead of vertically, and string him out. Either he gets caught, run out of bounds, or he runs him down from behind because this guy is such a crazy athlete. His tackles for loss production is incredible. Um, his ability to just get the quarterback off the spot was, you know, pretty much almost second to none in the draft. He definitely disrupted a lot of things for a lot of offenses, and he was pretty much the only guy that was respectable, noteworthy in that Houston defense. You really can't name another guy. And obviously the focus and the attention that he got from other teams was obvious. You saw double and triple teams, and he still made plays. I know he got accused of being, a little unwilling to go back out there this year because of injury, and he didn't want to risk anything. And we've seen other players do that. I mean, Christian McCaffrey didn't play in a game, in a bowl game. A lot of guys that Jalen Smith injury impacted a lot of people. It impacted, kids' families. It impacted the kids, the way they see, if you're able to secure a position in the first round and your talent is such that and that's rare. There's not many kids who can do that. There's not many prospects. I mean, they're they're one in over a million. They're just a handful of kids that can still garner that type of not to say respect, but that status is like, they're that good, and this kid is that good. I mean, to be up for a Heisman at his position is wow, it's crazy. I mean, he didn't end up going to the ceremony, but still, the start of the year, you know, he's a country guy. He's not, big city at all. People will talk about his size. I think being a full-time pro in an NFL strength program with that facility now, with the nutritionist they have, the fact he's still a young guy, he can put, anywhere between 5 to 8 pounds of really, really good weight on him. And that's a good weight. That's, people say, oh, 5 to 8 pounds. No, that's a lot of weight. When you're adding lean muscle mass, that's a lot of weight. And he's a displaced guy. He's not fat. His weight is everywhere. He's built like a cinder block, but he moves like a gazelle. It's crazy. And I know I'm waxing poetic about him, but I just couldn't fathom a situation in the last week where he could have ended up with the Bills. But you started hearing all these crazy things about, guys rising and falling, and I started thinking, like, well, somebody's going to be there that they want. Whether it's Hawkinson, Jonah Williams, and they could have taken Jonah Williams, but they passed him by for Ed Oliver, which shows you Ed Oliver was the number one guy. They never took a chance at Hawkinson, but you saw all their ads in free agency, were veterans, solid pros on offense, surround their young quarterback with steady veterans that knew how to do what they were brought in to do. They didn't have to learn on the fly, and they could just, go seamlessly. And on defense, they infused a very, very impactful, highly athletic, high ceiling rookie in a unit that's filled with solid veteran pros like, Alexander, Star Lotulelei, Trent Murphy, the two safeties, Poyer and Hyde, and you have Trey White. So that guy can just go in there in an already very, very solid unit and just do his thing. He doesn't have to, he can just add to it, an already very, very good defensive unit. And that's very exciting because they needed to improve the pass rush. They weren't able to do it. So hard to do in free agency because those pass rushers command so much. But to have a potential game rate wrecker in that front four is huge. It's huge. Play him right next to Jerry Hughes, and man, those guys with those motors, they can really cause some devastation. And I can't wait. You can't wait to see it. And I want to go back to a game because I believe certain things, certain events during seasons, during points of a campaign, whether it's in preseason even, and I'll even go to preseason, the most important game of the preseason, so-called third game, that game really changed the Buffalo Bills' entire thought process going into the year. They were going to start Josh Allen, but what happened in that game? That I remember it. That front four of the Cincinnati Bengals, particularly the middle, Geno Atkins and Andrew Billings. Billings more so against the second and third team guys, and Atkins against the first team guys. They had a clinic against the interior of the Buffalo Bills offensive line. Josh Allen was made to look like nothing. And, you didn't see his running ability. You didn't see him, he kind of just tried to hang back in the pocket, and he just had no time. That they were on him like white on rice, and I believe, not that they didn't want to have that in their defense, but that impacted them. It's like, wow, look what that does for a defense to have such a highly, athletic, dynamic player in the middle. And then the other position, which I think we might see addressed, one of a few positions, because I think they're in a position now to go BPA. I think they're going to be able at 40 can go BPA, even if maybe they trade back, maybe they trade up a few spots. Who knows? They have all their ammunition still, which is great. That whole trade up thing to me was just complete and utter fanciful nonsense that was contrived. It was being pushed by New York, predominantly New York Jets media people that aren't their in-house media, but they're their mouthpieces in certain instances, and they were dropping the Bills' name, and I thought it was just, no. There might have been some dialogue, but there was nothing worth I even tweeted a toilet with a toilet paper and a turd. I was just like, this is bullshit. I believe nothing of this, and I heard from anybody that I respect, I heard nothing but the same. So enough of that. At 40, I look at offensive line still. I look at wide receiver, and I look at secondary. I I look at things that impact that are just impactful moments. That secondary, that second corner position. Granted, you bring back EJ Gaines, you bring in, you know, Kevin Johnson, nice players, but you have health issues. Levi Wallace had a nice year, but you want him to continue to go up, but can you still count on that? I think so. But are they going to leave that to chance? I don't know. If they get a chance to draft a Rock Ya-Sin or a guy like Joe Jawan Williams who they brought in, or Sean Bunting who they brought in, because always they brought those guys into their building for a reason. They didn't bring those guys in there to show them the facility and wax poetic about it and just take them on a tour. No, they brought these players because these don't strike me as the kind that are just going to dick around with their time with certain guys. They're going to bring guys into their building that they are extremely interested in infusing into the Buffalo Bills roster. Every one of them. Some of those guys are gone, but some of those guys are there. Some of those wide receivers. Bills' favorite, DK Metcalf. I was right about him not being a first round pick. Only very few things I was right about. I was also right. I thought Hollywood Brown would be the only wide receiver taken. He ended up not being at the last minute. And N'Keal Harry, who the Bills had interest in. Bills only have to wait 8 picks tomorrow, and they're going to have their pick of the litter, whether it's a Dalton Reasoner, who I think could come in and just be a starting guard. Just easy plug and play, has that nasty, mean, surly demeanor that I think McDermott, well, I know McDermott wants along his offensive lineman. You have, I don't think Jawan Taylor, even though they did bring him in, so let me hold the phone there, I think he's just a right tackle only. And when you have right tackle only and they preach versatility along the line, I'm kind of, I don't know. I look at guys like again, the corners I mentioned, A.J. Brown, another wide receiver, Deebo Samuel. So I'm in that area. The Jalen Ferguson from Louisiana Tech set the NCAA sack record. He didn't have great workout numbers, but if they like him and they feel like he can get to the quarterback and be physical and be long, and he doesn't have to come in right away and just play every down. They can rotate like they like to do. That's another area. So I'm looking, for me, if I had to put my money on it, I would venture to say it's either going to be corner or offensive line, because I still think they like the upside and the youth of Robert Foster and Zay Jones. They brought in three veterans. They had Cole Beasley, who's your slot, he's your move guy. And then you have John Brown, who's your can opener. He's take the top off the defenses, kind of like Robert Foster was doing late in the year. And then you have, Andre Roberts, who's going to be your kick returner, special teams guy. There's room for one more guy in an ideal world. And only 5 or 6 are making your football team wide receivers. And 2 of them have to play special teams if they're going to be on the 46. 2 of them. And I don't think this team's going to have 6 wide receivers on their game day. I think they need another tight end, definitely, given the way I know Daboll wants to play offense. I know they need another tight end. But that's why I lean toward that secondary. I just think that they put so much focus into the offense. In free agency, adding steady veterans around their young quarterback, I think they want to go and really put that defense over the top. They feel like that's the unit that, we already have a really good foundation there, but we add this kind of young talent into it. That's going to put us into elite status. It's not going to be a very good unit. It's going to be a dominant elite unit. Lock top 3 defense, and it's hard to maintain consistency on defense, but I believe this staff and this coach can just drive that forward because you know they're relentless in that they're not going to let these guys rest on their laurels. I look at a possibility of a a Chauncey Gardner Johnson. He's a guy, he played corner at Florida. He played safety. He's versatile. He intercepts the football. I look at him in that big nickel role, which was almost a starting position. Raphael Bush, man, that he did it very well. Raphael Bush was a very good player for the Buffalo Bills last year in their defense, not just on special teams, which he was primarily brought in to do, was forced into action because of injuries and Vontae Davis just walking off the team at halftime of the Chargers game, which was embarrassing. This is why I say things like this impact decision makers and they impact coaches. Those 3 pass interference penalties that Phillip Gaines took against the Texans that led to their touchdown eventually, those things impact, the coaches and the decision makers. Having Levi Wallace, it was nice, but maybe they need a guy. I'm not saying maybe at corner, but in that secondary to control the middle of that field or shut down the boundary. I think that's where they go. I really do. They brought in Juan Thornhill, was a very good interceptor of the football, plays very physical, comes down hard in the run game, ran a 4.42. Chauncey Billups Gardner, Joe Jawan Williams, Justin Lane, and also Sean Bunting was a small school product, but a very good corner. So this is just my opinion. We'll see where they go. And in the 3rd pick, I think they're in the same position. I think that's where you might see a lineman or a tight end or a pass rusher. That's, I could see them going D, or maybe, defense, offense, defense. We'll see, Bills fans. Couldn't have felt any better for them to land Oliver. I'm excited. As you can tell, I look dead on my feet, but it's a good dead on my feet. And I'll be up, I'm getting up in 4 hours. Got to get an early breakfast in, listen to some radio, enjoy, all the talk from Bills fans, all the excitement. I love it. I feed off of it. I thrive on it. It gives me, juice to go. So you guys are all great. I appreciate you all. Have a great one. Let's enjoy the 2nd and 3rd round tomorrow. And let's see some new Buffalo Bills come onto the team, and hopefully they give us a lot of excitement for many, many years to come. Have a great one, guys. Take care, and go Bills.